Dear students, actually I have completed up in the transmission lines. I have completed up to the secondary constants, that is propagation constant and characteristic impedance. So after that I couldn't able to take the class. The remaining topics today I will cover some of the topics. If time is there, we will complete the remaining topics in the offline class and the coming online class. Now, so we have seen already what are the primary constants and what are the secondary constants of the transmission line. We know primary constants are nothing but distributed components R, L, C and G, and secondary constants of the transmission line is two, which are very important, which is nothing but propagation constant and characteristic impedance. Now, as we know already, the propagation constant is nothing but a combination of attenuation constant and then phase constant, where propagation constant gamma equal to alpha plus j beta, where alpha is a real quantity, where j beta is a complex quantity or imaginary quantity. So it is given that gamma equal to alpha plus beta, alpha is attenuation constant and beta is phase constant. Obviously we know that when you have a wave to be propagate, then alpha gamma should be equal to j beta, where alpha determines the attenuation and gamma determines the wave, beta determines how the wave will be propagated. So the units for alpha is Nepper per meter. 1 Nepper in dB equal to 6.868 dB. Next, beta is the phase constant. It determines the variation of phase position of voltage and current along the line. So in order to have propagation, gamma should be equal to j beta. Now where it is the units for this one is radians per second, and the units 1 radian equal to, already we know, 57.3 degrees. Now we get the expression for alpha and then beta. Already from the secondary constants we took gamma equal to root of r plus j omega l into g plus j omega c. So where gamma equal to r plus j beta. Now we took some by squaring on both sides, what will happen? Alpha square minus beta square plus 2j alpha beta equal to, by expanding this one, finally equating the real quantities and imaginary quantities. So real quantity is this one and imaginary quantity is this one. So both, by equating both the terms, we got two terms. Now, so take this alpha square minus beta square equal to as equation 1. Let now gamma equal to alpha plus j beta. Now gamma magnitude, if you want to find out, it is equal to root of alpha square plus beta square. So by expanding this one, root of alpha square plus beta square is nothing but root of this square, that is r square plus omega square l square into g square plus omega square l square root. Now, so this, take this as equation 2. Take this as equation 2. So now, so we have got equation 1 and then equation 2. Now combine equation 1 and 2. Add equation 1 and 2. So in we are taking the use of equation 1 and equation 2. What is equation 1? We are having alpha square minus gamma beta square equal to, how much you got? So now we got alpha from equation 1, that is alpha square minus beta square equal to r into g minus omega square lc, and we are having the equation 2, which is alpha square plus beta square. So taking use of equation 1 and equation 2, by adding both we can solve alpha and then beta. So take these two equations and take the things whatever may be cancelled, and finally we will get alpha equal to this equation and beta equal to this equation. Is it clear? So we got an equation for alpha, we got equation for beta. So next we will take what is meant by phase length, wavelength, and what is meant by phase velocity, and what is meant by group velocity. So what is meant by wavelength? This wavelength is nothing but guide wavelength, usually we are speaking. So guide wavelength is nothing but the distance travelled by the wave to undergo a phase shift of 2 pi radians. That's why lambda is taken as lambda equal to 2 pi by beta. So which is nothing but phase shift. Next, phase velocity or wave propagation. A signal of a single frequency propagates along a line at a particular frequency, then it is called as a phase velocity, or in otherwise also we can tell The velocity with which the wave is going to change its phase is nothing but phase velocity. The velocity with which the wave is changing its phase is nothing but phase velocity. So obviously here wavelength equal to 2 pi by beta and phase velocity equal to lambda by t. So here look at, we'll get the expression for phase velocity, where lambda is in 2 pi radians, where t equal to 1 by f we can write. So phase velocity equal to lambda into f, and vp equal to phase velocity equal to 2 pi f by beta, where lambda equal to 2 pi by beta. So finally phase velocity equal to omega by beta. So remember these equations, these are important. Phase velocity equal to omega by beta. Now look at here, in RF lines having 8, that electric will be this thing, it is necessary. So phase velocity equal to omega by beta. Next we will go for the group velocity. So we are discussing three terms. One is the wavelength, and the other one is the phase velocity, and the other one is the group velocity. So the velocity of the group of waves is called as group velocity. The envelope of a group of waves is, so what is that? We can take an example of a modulated wave, a amplitude modulated wave or a frequency modulated wave. We can take an example. Say for example, if we take in this diagram also it is drawn. So in this diagram we come across a amplitude modulated wave. So amplitude modulated wave consists of different waves. It is not a single wave. So it consists of a carrier wave, it consists of a modulating wave. So a group of waves which can be propagating with a velocity, that velocity is called as group velocity. Now, so here group velocity is nothing but difference of two frequencies and difference of two phase shift. So finally we'll get the expression, we'll take the expression group velocity equal to d omega by d beta, whereas phase velocity equal to omega by beta. Now we'll get the relation between the phase velocity and then group velocity. So for this we will take the phase velocity. Phase velocity equal to omega by beta. So differentiating with respect to omega. So what you got here, omega by beta, by that is differentiating with u by v rule. Then we will get these expressions, that is beta square. Here omega will be equal to 1 minus omega d omega by d beta. So all of you know u by v rule. With that you have to perform the differentiation. So finally we got, by taking beta common, 1 minus omega by beta d omega by d beta by d omega by beta. So beta will get cancelled in the denominator, only one beta we will left with. So these beta, if I are taking this side, beta into omega d phase velocity by d omega equal to 1 minus vp by d omega by d beta. So finally beta 1 minus vp by Vg. Is it clear? So d Vp d beta by d omega is nothing but 1 by Vg. So we got Vp by Vg. Now after getting this term, so Vp by Vg. So Vp by Vg equal to 1 minus beta d dVp by d omega. So Vg equal to Vp by 1 minus dVp by d omega. So finally we got the expression for phase velocity, we got the expression for group velocity. So remember, what is the difference between the phase velocity and then group velocity? Usually phase velocity is particular considered with the wave with which changes its phase is nothing but phase velocity, and a group velocity is nothing but concerned with the group of waves. For example, what I took, amplitude modulated wave. So is it clear? These three terms are important for 2 marks questions. So next we will go to the concept of infinite line. So if you want to go through the syllabus, then check out this one. So we are having infinite lines, and we are having open circuit, short circuit lines next remaining in the syllabus, and applications of transmission lines. So lambda by 2, lambda 4 and lambda by 8 line, and microstrip lines and Smith chart. So now first we will go to the concept of infinite line. So what is meant by an infinite line? Say all of you know a infinite line is nothing but the length of the line is infinite. So in this diagram we have represented the length of the line is taken as the length of the transmission line is infinite, and the input voltage is VSI and the input current is ISI. So the propagation of electric waves along any line may be deduced with electrical constant, that is R, L, C and G per unit length. We know that one. The signal fed into the line is infinite length could not reach the far end of an in a finite time, so that the condition of the far end, that is open circuit, has no effect on the input end. When the AC voltage is applied at the secondary end of an infinite line, a finite current will flow. So the ratio of voltage and the current flowing is given by Z0 equal to VSI by ISI. Because infinite line means we don't know what is the output condition, will not affect the input condition. So the input impedance is also known as characteristic impedance of the line, which is denoted by V Z0 equal to VSI by ISI. Now, so voltage and current at a distance x from the sending end. Say for example, we are taking at a distance x from the sending end. So V1 equal to C1 e power gamma x plus C2 e power minus gamma x, and I equal to C3 e power gamma x plus C4 e power minus gamma x. Take that equations are equation 1 and then equation 2. So at the starting, when x equal to 0, I equal to ISI and V equal to VSI. So what is VSI? C1 plus C2, and at x equal to infinity, I equal to 0 and V equal to 0. So we will keep that condition. We are taking at x equal to 0, that is starting point, and x equal to infinite. Is it clear? So now 0 equal to C1 e power infinity plus C2 e power minus infinity. So C1 into infinite and e power minus infinity equal to 0. So C1 is also equal to 0. Only C2 we are having. So C2 equal to VSI. So putting C1 in C2, we got similarly V equal to VSI e power minus gamma x, and I equal to ISI e power minus gamma x. So is it clear? Two conditions we have explained. One is at x equal to 0 and x equal to infinite. So by solving this equation, we got C2 equal to VSI. Put C1 and C2 in equation 1. Similarly in equation 2. So C1 equal to 0. Only constant we left with C2. So what is constant C2? VSI. Constant C2 is VSI and kept in this equation. So V equal to VSI e power minus gamma x, and this one equal to e power minus gamma x. So the propagation constant per unit length is defined as e power gamma x equal to IS by II. So current at unit distance from the source. So e power gamma x at a distance from the source. Similarly Vs by VR. Now VR equal to Vs e power minus gamma x, and IR equal to Is e power minus gamma x. So it is represented that propagation constant is nothing but per unit length we can represent as Is by II or Vs by VR. So this is the diagrams which is represented for current and it is represented for voltage. So infinite line is equivalent to a finite line. So infinite line concept that is practically which is not possible. So how to get the concept of infinite line? Infinite line, if you are having what you have taken, the output conditions does not affect the input conditions. Output conditions does not affect the input condition. So it is best to have an infinite condition practically also. So in order to achieve this infinite condition in the practical case, what we are doing, we are terminating the transmission line, a finite transmission line with Z0. Then it behaves as an infinite line. That is the second concept what you are going to see now. So what is that? Finite line is equivalent to an infinite line is equivalent to a finite line terminated with its Z0. So if an infinite line is joined with a similar kind of infinite line, then total input impedance is the same and input impedance is not going to be changed. So here the input impedance of the infinite line is Z0. Look at the figure AB. So finite line and you are taking an infinite line. So input impedance is Z0 and it is added. Z0 will, the output impedance is terminated with Z0. Look at the figures A and B. So where a finite line is going to act as an infinite line. So it must be concluded that a finite line has an impedance Z0 when it is terminated with Z0. So a finite line terminated with Z0 behaves as an infinite line. Now, what is lossless and low loss characterization? How the lossless condition will exist. So the next is distortion, conditions for minimum attenuation, wave distortion, loading of lines, okay. So now we'll see what are the conditions for less that is low lossless and low loss characterization. So this topic we can close. After that we will see some of the problems which are easy, which are kept in this one, and the remaining topics are there, not there in your notes. So I will continue that one in the next class. Now look at this one. A transmission line is said to be a lossless if the conductors of the same line are perfect, that is sigma c equal to infinite. The dielectric medium between the lines is sigma d equal to 0. So now when you are taking a lossless condition, means obviously we know that resistance and conductance should be equal to 0 for a lossless condition. So what is gamma? Gamma equal to alpha plus j beta, in that r is made 0 and g is made 0. So what we left with root of j omega l into root of j omega c, which is equal to j omega root of lc. So from this case only we are having a imaginary quantity, so alpha equal to 0 and beta equal to omega into root lc. This is nothing but the condition where we can take lossless, which is not practically exist. So low loss means for Z0 also it is equal to root of L by C. So phase velocity is also equal to this one. So this is nothing but a lossless line where